ChatGPT has pretty much had a hold on the large language model space for pretty much the whole time it's been out. However, Anthropic's Claude model has supposedly overtaken ChatGPT in performance. And the one thing that ChatGPT can do that I think really helps production in businesses is actually generate code. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look and see whether Claude can generate a machine learning model for us, and we're going to see how that model performs just in a Python notebook. So without further ado, let's dive in. So I want to start off by looking at the data set that we're going to use for our machine learning model. We're taking this BMI data set from Kaggle. If you don't know what Kaggle is, it's a nice repository of a bunch of data submitted by users. If you have any interest, whether that's movies, video games, agriculture, healthcare, whatever you like, they're going to have a data set in here that you can use to try to test out your coding chops. So I figured what better place to start if we're going to test Claude than in Kaggle. So this BMI data set, it's a pretty simple data set, a pretty small one. You can see it's only 8.32 kilobytes. I think it's 500 rows, like nothing crazy here. But you can see it's only 4 columns. So we have the gender of the person that's being tested, the height in centimeters, the weight in kilograms, and then the BMI index. So that goes between 0, which is extremely weak, and 5, which is extreme obese. So that's what we're gonna play with here in this data set. And what our model is gonna predict is the BMI index. So that's where we're gonna go. That's where we're gonna end up. So let's dive into Claude and let's see how it can build out a data set for us. So what I really like about building out things inside of ChatGPT is you can kind of make it more of a conversational approach. So that's what we're gonna start off with Claude and see, because I've played with Claude before and it just kind of spit out the code to me. I want it to be kind of conversational with me. So I'm gonna say, can you walk? And I think we're on Opus. Okay. So can you walk me through building a machine learning model if I provide you a CSV. Okay, so let's see what it says here. Has the cool Nickelodeon style loading there. Certainly, blah blah blah. Provide me. Okay. So much longer response than I would have expected from ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT would have been like, yeah, provide me the CSV, let's roll. So let's read through here. Blah blah blah. It says that it'll do data exploration and pre-processing, model training, model evaluation, model selection, splitting the data, model tuning and optimization. Okay, so prediction and deployment. Wow. So kind of outlining through all of this, right? So it says necessary. Blah blah blah. Okay. So let's provide it with the CSV data here. So I'm actually kind of impressed. It's kind of walking through all the steps that's going to do. I mean, ChatGPT doesn't usually do that beforehand, but it will walk through those steps. So let's provide it with the CSV file here. BMI, perfect. There we go. So I'm going to send that to it. See if it can read it in. Okay, cool. So with the provided CSV data, let's build a machine learning model to predict the index value based on the other features. We'll use Python and common libraries like pandas, NumPy, and scikit-learn. Wow. Okay, so we're speed running this thing here. We are speed running it. Okay, so we have data preparation, so that's just reading it in. Data exploration and pre-processing. That's great. Splitting the data. So it's great splitting it into the features and target variables, and splitting it at a test size of 20%. All right. So before this finishes up, or it just finished uploading. So, but what you're noticing here, if you're familiar with ChatGPT, none of this is actually ran. This is all solely just telling us code. That's not great. You can see down here on the bottom that Claude does not have the ability to run the code it generates yet. So that means that you have to take this code and test it to get any sort of feedback back. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a notebook here. So I'll go to Hex and open up a notebook. So let me go ahead and log in real quick. All right, so we're inside of Hex. I'm going to open up a Python cell. I'm going to load in this file real quick. So I need to put it in here as well. So there's a bmi.csv, upload a file. Perfect. So it's in there. Okay, so we're going to walk through the code that Claude generated. So this is definitely, it's a bit annoying compared to ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT is going to run that code for you as it goes. This is not going to do that. So, but that's okay. We're going to copy the code. So this is going to read in the code. And it's going to give us the first 5 rows here with the data.head. Just going to allow that to send in real quick. Well, you can see there's a problem there. It's data.csv. We want it to be bmi.csv. So that's certainly interesting there that Claude gave us, let me put those next to each other, Claude gave us the data.csv whenever I technically gave it bmi.csv. So that's, again, nothing's wrong with that, but it's definitely a bit weird that it didn't name that file like we had it. But yeah, I mean, load in the data. We can look at it. That's great. So data exploration and pre-processing. So I'm going to take a look and see what we have here. So you can see it's checking for missing values, which is great. Convert categorical into numerical using label encoding. So that's interesting. So running this similar code through ChatGPT, they actually went ahead and hard coded that to be 0 and 1. This is using the label encoder there from scikit-learn. So let's look and see what we got here. So you can see we have no null values, which makes sense for a Kaggle data set, right? Kaggle is great for beginning data scientists or data professionals, because a lot of the data is pretty clean for you, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time cleaning data. If you've worked in the field for a while, data's never going to come that way to you. But it's great for this. So you can see that the genders have switched into 0 and 1. What is a little frustrating about, a little bit frustrating about Claude here is that it has changed the gender to 0, 1, but is 0 male, 1 female? It doesn't say, right? That's a bit weird. So splitting this into features and target variables. So let's copy that in there and see what happens there. So it's going to run that. I don't think it's going to give us, tell us anything. Let's print out. We can print out kind of X test and see what it looks like, making sure that it ran. So you can see there's some data there. So that's fine. It worked. So that's great. So we split that up, in pretty standard test size is 0.2. So that's pretty normal across the board there. So then model selection and training. So you can see that this picked a random forest classifier, which is interesting because, again, not what ChatGPT picked. So we're going to take a look and see what this looks like as well. Okay, so go ahead and throw that in there. Hopefully we have scikit-learn. We are. Okay. So that looks good. So that looks like it loaded in well. So we fitted it based on the X train and Y train. So that looks good. So then model evaluations. This is going to tell us what our model looks like. Perfect. So we're going to get a classification. So we got 87% accuracy. It's not bad. No one's going to complain about 87% accuracy there. And it says you can explore techniques like cross-validation, hyperparameter tuning using grid search and randomized search to improve the model's performance. And then we can make a prediction. So it says this code snippet demonstrates how to make predictions on new unseen data. So let's see what this looks like real quick. Go ahead and paste that in there. So you can see that. Let's see, new data, blah, blah. Okay, so we put 1 male, 1 female, so on and so forth there. We're going to make our predictions. It's going to predict 3 and 2 for a male with 180 centimeter height and 85 weight, and a female 165 height and 60 weight. We're going to get 2. Okay, so model runs. We got predictions. That's great. A little bit frustrating for Claude. It's not running anything. So let's see if we can get this accuracy improved here. Let's see if it can help us out with that. So I'm going to tell Claude the accuracy of that model was only 87%. How would we improve it? Because, again, something that ChatGPT does a good job of is it actually runs the code for you. So it's very able to make edits to the code, which is interesting. So let's take a look and see what happens here. We ask it how we can improve it. Here are a few suggestions. Create new features by combining. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Explore the relationship between features and target variables to identify any patterns. Okay. So I'm gonna wait for this thing to load. Okay. All right. Feature selection, identify and remove. I mean, there's not enough features to remove anything, so that's interesting. But again, we're not going to eliminate any features here. We only have 3: gender, height, and weight. So it's not a great suggestion. Hyperparameter tuning. Okay. Here's a few examples. Okay. So it gave us an example, so that's not bad. Define the parameters for. Okay. Interesting. So it says it creates a new BMI is weight over height. Yeah, I don't love that part of it. Like I don't love it creating the new feature there. But let's copy it in there and let's just see what happens, right? So let's see what happens. I toss that in there. I'm gonna get rid of the BMI part here. I don't love that part of it. That feels like it feels a bit cheating. Okay, so we have that. I don't think it uses that anywhere else. It does not. All right, just toss it out there and see what happens now. So it's running the code as it was written without taking out the BMI part that they added in. But you can see that we have a best random forest model. We have a gradient boosting classifier. Make predictions using those two. So a little bit different things are happening here. So this is still running. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening here. So this is going to take a little bit longer, but you can see we're going to have the random forest accuracy and the gradient boosting accuracy there. And then of course we're going to have the reports for both of them. So yeah, we're going to let this thing finish running, and then we're going to take a look and see if the results whenever it finishes up. So we'll let it finish going. All right, so it looks like we finished up here. So you can see the random forest accuracy is set still 87%, so it didn't really change anything with that. But you can see that the gradient boosting accuracy did get us up to 90%, so better. But what I don't like about Claude is it didn't really give us a specific action to take. It just said, hey, try these things. Versus ChatGPT, I think is very specific because it's looking at your data and it's running its own code to see what happens. So I would say Claude's a little bit behind on the code generation part, definitely behind ChatGPT, but you can see we did get a model. It is able to make predictions, and it's not a bad model. So it's not like it's not chopped liver or anything, right? But it's still not caught the ChatGPT, at least on code generation. So I would still definitely give ChatGPT the advantage on code generation, but not to say that Claude is starting to catch up, which is pretty exciting for the AI space in general. So yeah, in this video, we looked at making a machine learning model given a CSV with Claude, and then tested it out in a notebook. So if you like this content and want to see more content like it, make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll have more Claude versus ChatGPT content coming out really soon.